You're listening to Belly Up to the Blackboard, the podcast made for teachers by teachers. From classroom chaos to those unforgettable student moments, we'll cover the ins and outs of education and share the advice you need to avoid the biggest pitfalls. So belly up, grab your favorite drink, and let's get started.
I like that intro.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, good job out of you. Way to read that.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so on today's podcast, we're going to talk about building leaders on and off the field. So, why did we decide to do that today?
We just started a book club, book study, leadership book study with our track captains.
Yeah.
And we just had our first one a couple weeks ago, and we've had two now.
Second one, yeah.
Yeah, and it went really well. So we just thought we'd carry this over into this week's podcast, talking about leadership.
Yeah, I think it's good too. I think this is the first year we've had captains for this incoming season. Mm-hmm. We've never done it before. I don't know if it's we didn't feel the need for it. It's just kind of hard. It's a lot of different groups. Mm-hmm. But, over the last couple of years, we talked about it as a whole staff and thought that, I think it'd be good to have some leadership on the team through the kids. And I'm reading it for the third time now, Chop Wood, Carry Water. By Joshua Medcalf. It's a quick read. It's a good read, and it's a good one for the book study. I think it's pretty easily digestible for our athletes. And this is our second one, and this the first meeting we had, we talked with the kids and handed out the books and everything, kind of what we expected from the, coming into the season, because this book study will end right before track starts, and then we'll get into a second book is the plan, and that second one was really good. We had a good conversation, I think, with the captains here about, the first 4 chapters. And if you want to do this with a group, the best way to kind of outline it is the way we did it. And I kind of gave it to ChatGPT for how many months we wanted or meetings and how many questions, if we wanted questions and things like that. So I think that worked out pretty well. The outline looks pretty good, and then you just go from there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And I think if you want to do this book, it can work with any type of leadership group you're trying to create, whether that be academics or any clubs or any sporting event teams.
Yeah, anything you want to build leadership in. And Reed was talking, he goes, we should do this, in school, as a class. And so I'm thinking about that, doing it as a club, using the same stuff. And the only reason to do it as a club is because you get a stipend. It's like $500, but then that can go towards buying the books because our captains will be able to keep these once we're done. So I'd love to do that next year and during advisory or something. So so we'll look at it and we want to know when did we first kind of realize realize how important leadership was on our team?
I think we didn't really. A couple years ago, we had some leaders that were seniors that kind of fell in line every year, and we didn't really seem to have an issue. Yeah. I think we're just trying to build a culture of leadership on our team, and I think we just felt like we needed a little extra boost in the leadership department.
Yeah, I think
it's just kind of what a leader should look like and how they should act and stuff. So I think that's kind of where we saw this would be a good add to our team.
Yep, I agree. Every kid is different. And like you said, we had some seniors that just kind of, I think they went to state and they kind of knew what we needed to do at practice every day. And sometimes kids just, for lack of better terms, fell in line, and then you forget after a while, you kind of have to reteach some of those basic things of what we do and why we do it to the younger kids, because it starts to lose its meaning, or after a while they don't know why
the purpose behind it. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think having that leadership that we can continue through that, I think it's it's just been two classes or 2 meetings or whatever, but I think it's done pretty well so far. I think it'll be good for us.
So. Yeah, I do too.
So then, what are the things that we kind of talked about it a little bit? What skills were you kind of hoping that as we draw through this, what things do they draw out of our kids and that you hope to see?
I think one thing our kids already do well is they will cheer for all of their their athletes at meets. Like they will go there and they will cheer for every single person. I think that's hard to build.
Yep.
You don't see that with a ton of other teams. So I think we have a good base. Out of this, I just think like doing the right things and like our captains knowing why we do them, and they can instill that in the younger kids as well. And it gives the younger kids something to look up to as well. So I think it's going to be a good thing for us.
Yeah, one thing I've tried to build, and it's been hit and miss, is like that servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yes, our seniors are the seniors, they've gone through the program, but instead of having, our freshmen, hey, freshmen put things away, freshmen do this, it's the leaders, it's the seniors and upperclassmen showing them, hey, this is what we do. And they do it by leading by example.
Yeah.
And I think track is one of the tougher ones for sports-wise because there's so many different personalities because there's so many different events.
Mm-hmm.
With football, there's different position groups, right? But you're all doing a lot of the same stuff, right? And basketball, cross country has a great culture.
Mm-hmm.
They're all distance runners, so similar. I can't think of a sport other than track that's so different with so many different groups: throwing groups, hurdles, sprinters, distance, whatever it may be. I think our jumpers, it makes it different because there's so many different personalities that have to mesh for the team to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at a session, kind of just a breakdown of what we do. Each kid has their own binder, and then they have I'm going to bring my binder out here so I can go through it. Like I said, it's chop wood, carry water. But using, ChatGPT, we've got a quote of the week that they look through, a theme that we talk about, assigned chapters to read that they read on their own. And like we tell them, the books are theirs, so they're able to take them home, highlight them, whatever they want to do, because they're going to keep them, write in them, whatever they want. And then just some reflection questions, and then a fillable guide, and then we meet and we talk about it every time. Every time we meet, and we meet roughly twice a month when we have our professional development on Fridays. Mm-hmm. Kids don't have school, so they come in 7:30, and we're done in about a half hour, 45 minutes. So yeah. So go ahead.
So do you still want to stay on the how to, or do you want to move on to our next question?
Let's go. Whatever you got here. We're just going through them.
So this is the first year we had team elected captains. That was something new we've also tried. So those are the people that are in our leadership group. You want to talk about the pros and cons of voting for captains versus appointing captains?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I mean, some teams they'll just have coaches pick it, and I get that. Some of the pros about that is you're gonna get kids that you want to be your captains, right?
That you kind of trust.
That you trust them. Yep, you trust them. You see them every day. You know kind of how they fit that mold, which is great. The problem with that is that if you pick somebody, you're going to have other kids go, well, that's
not who I would have picked.
That's not who I would have picked.
Yeah.
They're not a captain. You don't know what they do outside of school, things like that. So then there's some of that not trust, or it's a coach's pet kind of deal.
Yeah.
And, so there could be that kind of division in that. So then that's why you can, you do a voted captains, people vote for their captain. And with that one, it's good because then it's somebody who they maybe respect, right? They think that's going to help with that team. They see them as a leader. They know the qualities, how good the qualities are in that person. Downside to that, is it a popularity contest?
Yeah, and you got to look at if they're just voting for their friends or if they're actually going to be a good leader for your group. And I think that's what we're trying to build with these voted captains, is to build kind of that leadership culture that we want to take into the season in the spring.
Yep, and I think that having, you don't know if they're going to be a good captain until you go through it. So it could be a good one, it could be a bad one. I think you kind of have to find out. I mean, we'll find out through this course if who have been voted on will be a good captain or not.
Do you think captains are the only leaders on the team, or do you think there could be other leaders on the team as well?
I think there are kids that lead by example. I think we see a lot of that too. Some of them just don't want to have that pressure of people are going to them, to lead the team or show them what's right. I know we had a couple guys, and we didn't pick captains, but guys that I said, hey, I want you guys to be leaders because you've been doing it. You know what you need to do. And they tried, but one, I don't think I gave them the tools to know how to lead. And then there's some pushback because people thought, well, they're captains, and how come there's no captains on the other team? And truly they weren't. I think there was miscommunication, but they got so much pushback that they just
didn't want to do it.
Didn't want to do it. Yeah. And I think that's tough. So I think there are leaders on the team, and they may just, like I said, lead by example. But they don't want to have that pressure or like people judging them because they're quote unquote a captain.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I think having captains, I think that can transcend into school too. I'm hoping with this book study that we do with these kids, that it's not just track, right? It's not, they just don't carry it into track. I hope even because we're going to be doing this before track even starts, and they're multi-sport athletes, that once basketball comes in or baseball, that they can carry a lot of this stuff that they get out of this book and that we talk about, hopefully into the school, into the other sports. And then they're all seniors this year, so then once they get, whether they go on to college or go into a job, they take some of these lessons from this and carry that on too.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. So what's one of your favorite, you have some quotes from the book that you like?
Yeah, there were a couple that I liked. I left my book at school, so we talked about this in our group last week. They talk about it's just an inch, but they talk about the inch can be the determining factor between good and great, essentially. And I think about that, the small, minuscule things we do at practice every single day. Yep. Like for me, like hurdle form, like how quick is your trailer going to be? That's going to determine you being better than somebody else. And that could determine, if you go to state or not, when I think about it, like, especially like this last year and the year before when we were 25th, and we missed state. And then this year we were 24th, getting into state. So it's just those little things. So when you talk about it's just an inch, if you're doing the small, minuscule things every day, that's going to get you to greatness versus if you're just kind of going through the motions of things.
Yeah. And that was one of the things we talked about in the our last meeting, our second one. Then we went over, chapters 1 through 4, and we did that kind of roundtable discussion of everybody kind of answers what they did or what they thought, and things that they pulled out, and I think that was a big one too of when they were adjusting the bow or his elbow just an inch, it can change the trajectory of that arrow, and I think everybody kind of pointed something similar to that out, and I think that was good of going around almost round robin, but then we were kind of, I hate the word popcorning because we talk about it in education all the time of like, it's a popcorn discussion. It goes back and forth. But I think that was a pretty good thing that we did with that class too. I don't know. Is there other ways you think to present, what they've written down? A different way to do it?
I think it was good. We just kind of went around the horn and everybody shared, but I think, maybe in these next couple of weeks, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to share, but I think the group just kind of giving like their answers kind of back and forth. Like, well, I might think of it this way, but I think of it this way. And like none of them gave wrong answers. They were just different. Yeah.
And it was nice. I was wondering how it would go because that was the first one we shared, like we were sharing out. And I was wondering how they would react because they're going to talk in front of, their peers.
Mm-hmm.
And in classes, there's a lot of kids that don't like doing that. But I think it went really, in my opinion, it went really well. Because I think they weren't afraid to talk, after we got started. And maybe it helped that we all shared first as coaches of like things that maybe weren't track related. But I know for me, there's one of the things I shared about patience with our kids in the morning. Because you want to try to hurry up for school and just to have that patience. And I think we shared out pretty well. So
Yeah, I think it was good that we shared first. But a lot of them kind of gave their own input too, and I was happy they shared honestly and openly about that.
yeah, one of my favorite quotes was right at the end of chapter 3, and I've got it highlighted. Is greatness isn't for the chosen few. Greatness is for the few that choose, which I think is great because you're not like predestined to be great. You know, you are maybe physically gifted from your parents and things like that, but like to put in the work is the biggest thing. So you have to choose to want to do that, right? You're not predestined to be like, you're going to be great. You have to put in that hard work.
I think I'm thinking of one particular athlete in the past, that like you got to want to come and work every single day. Like you can be as fast as you want to be, but if you're not going to come to practice every day, you're not going to put in the work, then it's just not going to happen for you.
Yeah. And I think that was another thing we talked about in our group was process over outcome. I got to see if I can find that quote I had. But they talk about like you got to live in the process. You got to, and that's kind of where that chop wood, carry water. There's things you got to do every single day. You know, for that it was, you know, they had to chop wood to heat, for heat, and then water obviously because they didn't have running water, and you have to do that every single day.
Yep.
And it's something you have to live in that process. And then the results will come. The outcome will come. But it's living that process. You have to do it every day because if you don't, you're going to stay the same. You're either going to get better or you're not. So you kind of have to live in that. Quick question. So do you think some of our questions on the course here, do you think kids need more intentional leadership training than in past generations?
Yeah, I do think they need like kind of more black and white stuff. Thinking this is what our 5th year coaching high school track together.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I have coached like middle school track in the past, and I've coached softball, but it's just, I feel like 5 to 10 years ago, like kids going to practice or whatever, or even in school, like you have to make it very black and white about your expectations are. They just don't come and like know them already.
Yeah.
So I think that's true with athletics. That's true with academics. I see it in the classroom. Like you have to be intentional about, I need X, Y, and Z from you. Otherwise, like it's not going to cut it right now.
Yeah. And I think kids now ask a lot of times of why, right? Now you're a lot younger than I am, but
well, not that much younger.
But younger, by 10 years probably.
Yeah, 10.
About 10 years, right? So, but I'm sure it was the same with you. It was like when a coach told you to do something or a teacher told you to do something, you just did it. Like there was no like, why? Why are we doing this? And nowadays it's, for better or worse, kids are like, why are we doing this? What's the purpose? And I don't know if it is because they feel time is more valuable or they don't want to waste their time doing something that, one, they don't enjoy or they don't think is going to benefit them. So they ask the question why. So I think they do need more training in it to understand the ins and outs that like we probably didn't have, right, when we were in school, but we just did what the coach told us. So there was no there's no reason for it.
Even if it sucked, you still went out and you did it because your coach told you to.
Yeah, like for better or worse, maybe it was a good idea, maybe it was bad, but and you know what? I don't know if when we were in school, if we would have said, well, why?
I don't think I would have ever done that.
I don't think it would have been met with an actual answer or anything like that. I think they probably would have just, that's what we're doing, Yeah. So, and I don't mind. I tell kids too, like, if you want to know why we do something, why are we doing, a specific part of training, ask what, feel free to ask because I should be able to tell you that. And I know I've told coaches in the past too, and I think it's on our, expectations for coaches that, if a kid might ask, you better be prepared to be able to explain why you're doing something because a kid might want to know, and that's fine. They can ask. It's not, whether it's important on how they approach it, I guess.
Yeah, because we have been asked a lot in track why we're doing some things we're doing, and that's fine.
Yep. I would want to know too. And, like I said, we didn't ask probably when we were kids. We just did it. But like, I think it's important to be able to answer that question. So I think part of that leadership, I think, will help kids understand where we're coming from and like why we're doing things, and it's a good way to answer it to them, and then they can, if a kid's like, why are we doing this, and then they can explain it too. It's not just the coaches telling them. It's that leadership group too.
And I think it'll carry into like our warm-ups and everything too. Like at the beginning of the year, the leaders will be like, all right, let's circle up, let's go do it.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that'll help out a lot.
And that was another thing too that we talked about. We had older groups that they just did it. We explained why, and then I think I didn't do a great job as we got younger kids that weren't in the system at the beginning of why we do our RPR, our stretches and our wake up drills. And I, when I first started them, kids just did it. We explained why, but then as we just continue to do it without that explanation sometimes, and I think that can be why some kids question why we do something.
Yeah, and I think helping, like, me and Marcy got trained in RPR this past year, and I think that really helped us know a lot of background with doing it too, and I think that helped with some of the kids' questions. Yeah,
and I wish there was almost like a kids course doing it too. That would be cool if there was there was a way that they had like a kids course that we could send kids to, or we could do it as a group, like an online version.
I think the middle school doing it will hopefully, I think that helps a lot too. Like, so as we get those kids, they'll be used to doing those wake up drills.
Yep, and I think we'll probably send those coaches to the training too, or have the online. I think it'd be a good thing for them to do it. So, I think that's good. Now when we talk about, obviously we're both coaches, so we think about it in sports terms. But how do you? Obviously, we don't have captains in classrooms, so how do you find a leader in your classroom?
I think I take the first, I think every teacher does. They take the first couple weeks of the year, and they are really trying to build those relationships with those new kids that they have. I'm kind of lucky. I'd get some returners every year, which is nice. But just once you find out those kids that do have those qualities, that like to pass out papers and they like to answer questions for you, those people can turn into great leaders. And then it won't maybe be so taboo, I guess, to answer questions for the teacher, because I know some kids are deathly afraid to talk in the class, or they just think it's uncool. Yeah. So
how many kids do you have in your class?
56.
Per class though.
Per class. Yeah. My biggest class is 18 and my smallest class is 8.
So it's not as big as obviously a gen ed
it's not as big a gen ed classroom.
And neither is mine too. And I have mostly juniors and seniors too, and they've had me for a couple of years, and they kind of know how the program goes. And once you built that relationship with them, and you know that too through coaching, and now you're back, so that helps too. And I think they kind of know when you build that relationship with them. If you have a new kid coming in and they're kind of give you attitude or something like that, you'll have kids support you.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Don't be an idiot. The teachers. It's a nice teacher. Don't be a jackass. But
I got told my room was good vibes on Friday, so I might have another student joining it semester. He dropped, so
nice.
He said, "I got good vibes from you." I'm like, "Okay, good."
I had a kid tell me that they missed me because I was gone because Chase was sick. I was gone 3 days, Monday through Wednesday. So when I was back Thursday, they said they're glad I was back. So that's that
had to make you feel good.
It does, because then I'm like, and the sub I had was really good. But yeah, when kids tell you that, it's okay, good. They like my class. They like me as a person, maybe, or as a teacher, anyways, and so that's good. So
I'll be gone for a day, and my kids will be freak out. They have separation anxiety.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So it does make you feel good, though. And I think those are the kids that are kind of leaders in class, and they may be by example, but they'll be the ones too and they may be ones that speak out in another class that they maybe have attitude because they're just outspoken, but they're outspoken in your class to defend you too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of that I like. So when you see the kind of type of a kid in a classroom that's going to be a leader, is it the straight A kid? Is it a kid that just leads by example? Is it just the quiet one that does everything right, or the one that encourages others, Or is that like all one kid that you could pick?
I think it varies from class to class. Like, I think you'll have like your social butterfly kid that will go to bat for you, and they'll be like, "Hey guys, like be quiet, like she's trying to talk."
Yeah.
Because I have one class that's super loud, I have one class that's super quiet, and they all have that one person that will be like, "Hey yo, she's trying to talk." So that's kind of nice. They're kind of like getting those like flags of like, I need to shut up right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's the same kid in each class. I think it's just different people in the class that they're in.
Yeah, I don't think you can pinpoint it to one.
No, at least for me, like I got leaders of all different all different personalities in my classes.
I don't know. This is an extreme example of like, I don't know if you say being a leader in class, but having the teachers back. There was a video. It's been a few years ago. There's a couple kids fighting in a classroom, and I think it was maybe inner city. I can't remember, but and then one of them accidentally hit the teacher. So then this third kid in just comes in and decks him because he like hit the teacher. It's like he had her back, obviously, but like that's extreme. But that's, you know what? That's a kid that teacher has obviously had an impact on.
Yeah.
Right, to defend them physically. But so we talk about leadership in sports again, and we just kind of talked about in class. And I want to put this. I would love to do that leadership class. I'm hoping it'll work to do it in like during advisory. Mm-hmm. You know, because I think there's ways that, you know, teachers and coaches can work together. So like identifying leaders, and I'm debating on whether to have kids like submit it or if I ask kids to be in the class. Like maybe submit a like an application for it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they have to get a reference from somebody. Yeah. Like a teacher or coach reference. I don't know. But do you think that would eliminate some kids that could be good in it?
I feel like the kids these days don't like to do a lot of extra work because that's just how they are. So you could try it and see like without anything and see who you get. Yeah. And then you could just see what happens.
Because I think I want to do 10, at most 10 kids. Because we'll buy the books, and the books are, $16 a piece. So that's $160. And then we'll do the binders, which isn't going to be anything. But if we do it for a full year, we'll have to buy the other book too, which I think they said that was $17. So what would that be then? 170 plus 130? No, 170 plus 160? 330? Is that right?
Sounds right.
And I think you get $500 as a stipend to be a club sponsor.
Heck yeah.
So I wouldn't take it. I mean, we just use it for for that. So I don't know. Would it be the first 10 kids then?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll try that. I already talked to our principal. I think he said it'd be okay. But I'd want to do it during like advisory or something, or like
which I think it would be a good idea to do it during advisory too. Yeah, because kids sometimes they're not even doing anything.
Yeah, so. On the days when they can work or something, or before school, they have to come early. I don't know. I'd be interested to see which one might. Maybe we'll think about it and see what. But if we could do our coaches that could do it, I think that would help too. Like the four of us, if we wanted to do that as a group. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be good.
Yeah, I think we should try it.
All right. Maybe we'll do that. We'll see if Weed wants to do it or not. So, all right. What else we got on here?
I also wrote down mentorship. There was a question: how valuable is it for older athletes to guide younger athletes? Do you think?
I think done in the right way, I think it's very important. Like we kind of said about being servant leaders, having the seniors show them, hey, this is what we're doing, and the seniors leading with doing, whether it's putting stuff away, whether it's, even checking into a track meet or paying attention or stretching or warming up right. Doing that and showing them, I think that's important because then that trickles down. Now, if it is seniors telling you can carry this stuff and I did it when I was a freshman, so you can do it as a freshman. I think that's the wrong way to do it. I think it's showing them by example, and leading them that way. I think that's the better way because I think, it's if you can break that cycle. Because I don't know about with the sports you were in, but I know with football, when I played, if it was a senior that freshmen carry their pads or, they did that kind of stuff. And then when you were a senior, it's like, well, I did it when I was a freshman, so you have to do it. And it's more negative.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you can do it and show them that as a senior, you're doing this, so they expect to do it as a senior as well when they get older, I think it's got a more positive tone to it.
Yeah, and I think like with the kit, we always have someone carry the kit, and I think just like different people doing it every single time, I think has been helpful.
Yep.
That way, it's not just the same people doing it every single time.
Yeah, and I think part of that with the leadership class, I'm hoping, and it might be a little thing, we don't have to like, hey, you tell a kid, hey, you need to do it this time, and like make a checklist, because we almost did that last year or 2 years ago. We had a checklist. Okay, you carry it this meet, next kid carries it the next meet.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to have leaders in the and captains that
will just grab the stuff and go.
Yeah.
And they're not worrying about who's picking it up. Like, they're going to do it.
Doesn't matter how many times they've done it. It's not hard to do. They just they know it needs done, and I think that will trickle down. And I think that I'm hoping that's one of the the things that happen with it too. So Okay, here we go. Conflict resolution. Let's talk about that. Do we give kids the tools to handle disputes, or do we just expect it to work out?
I think in the past we've expected it to work out. I think this year I know we'll be really diligent about we're going to talk to them more about how to handle like arguments and things. Based on some things that have happened, which I think it goes back to kids 10 years ago, like you just did stuff. And I think things were just ingrained in kids like at that point. And now I think, like I said, it's going to be more black and white of how things actually are if you want things done kind of the way you want them done.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if kids take things more to heart nowadays. Like they just don't let it roll off their back, and or if it's just, I don't know, it just seems so much more
like you got to be on the defense every single time.
And I don't want to use social media, but maybe that's what it is that like you're always looking at social media and there's something negative about it, and everything, you're always looking for the negative side of everything.
Oh, I feel, that's the way media is. Like, I feel like on my TikTok, like scrolling through that, like it's trying to get you to think one way or the other every video you see.
And I think it works. I think that's why they do it, And I think we've just said in the past, because it has worked out, like we've just let it, hey, it's just going to work out. We don't have to, but I think we're getting more intentional about, how can we do this? Okay, well, unlike last year with just a little bit of drama, we said, okay, then let's just set our camp somewhere, separate and take care of that. And I think eventually it'll work itself out, but we give them those kinds of things that they can do.
Yeah.
They won't need to come to the coaches all the time about having an issue. They can figure it out.
I think most of last year went great.
Yeah,
like, we were having, like, it was a good time. So I think that they know a lot of what they're supposed to do, the right things. I think just some things happen that we need to kind of prepare for and know how we're going to handle it.
And I think having the coaches or having the leadership course, I think that's only going to help, So
yeah, I'm anxious to see what else is in this book.
I'm excited to read. We're doing 5 through 8 next time. And I know there's another few things I was looking through here. So here's one of the other ones I had highlighted, just kind of bouncing around. Was on page 9. It says, most people are so consumed with their day-to-day lives that they never pause to see the big picture. And in the big picture, every single choice matters, no matter how small. So I think part of that is about that process too, of like taking a look every day. Where do I want to be for track at the end of the season, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, what am I doing today to either get me there, or are you making a decision that gets you further from it? And I think that's where we talk about the inches too.
Yeah.
That every decision you make, no matter how small, is going to have an impact on it. So I thought that was a pretty good quote with the book.
It also talked about, I don't know what page it was on, but it talked about, would you rather have somebody who has just like watched YouTube videos on how to fix, like example, like how to fix things or how to do things or how to handle things versus someone who has lived experience. And I think that I think students and also like athletes, like we were athletes at one point in our life. We were students at one point in our life. Like we have a lot of lived experience, and I think that sometimes students just think that we have never dealt with anything and we don't know what we're talking about. So I really liked that. I was like, I have so much lived experience compared to you right now, but that's another part of the book that I really liked.
Well, I think too, because there's so much information you can get off of, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube, and then so they'll see something or somebody do something on that, and they think it's the best thing to do, and because they're on social media, they assume that that person knows more, and sometimes they do, but sometimes it's just somebody that's on there showing you how to do something, and it could be completely wrong. Mm-hmm. Or it's for like collegiate level or professional level athletes that is not ready. You're not ready for right now. Yeah, I've seen that too. So that's always interesting, and but I don't know. It's one of those things that like you have to, again, we use the word process, but you have to trust the process. As a coaching staff, what have we accomplished these last so many years? And if that's where you want to get to, you may want to listen a little bit. Yeah. You got to trust that you got to take a leap. You're not gonna get there today, but if by the end of the season you want to get somewhere, just trust what we're doing. For the most part, kids got there. Yeah, I agree. And towards the end, I think we did have a couple leaders that kind of bloomed out of our track team, which I thought was good, and I hope that carries into this next year. I think so too. And one of the things I want to add to it too that I've always wanted to do, and I've never done it, but the community service aspect of it. So I'm hoping with this leadership group, we can get an idea of something we want to do. So, whether it's spring break, having one day, or just having one day off of practice, and okay, we're going to go to Meals for the Heartland, yes, or something to where we go as a group and do a service project. I think that is something that I think everybody needs to do. It's a selfless act, and I say selfless, but really it makes you feel good. So it's almost selfish too, but I think it's something that we should look at. And I think with the kids we have in that leadership group, I think we're going to find some good things that we can do as a whole team, boys and girls. Yeah, I think that'd be a good beginning of the year leadership group project in general, having them work as a team to do something. Yeah, and I know one thing we're going to do as a boys group and a girls group, or boys team and a girls team, is doing one of those fundraisers. Because we're going to get a couple of new tents. Mm-hmm. So, hey, if you want a tent, boys, you got to fundraise for it. Girls, you got to fundraise for yours. Yep. And they each have their own tent. I think that'll be one of those things that I think that's going to solve some problems. Yeah, I think so too. And as we're kind of wrapping up here a little bit, what's one piece of advice that you could give to one of our captains right now? I think one piece of advice I would give is to really kind of take advantage of this leadership class, is to really focus on, it's an easy read. I read the first 4 chapters in 10 minutes, and I highlighted a ton of stuff. So I think just living and breathing those highlighted pieces that you'll see in your book will really carry over into track season when we get there, and we can really kind of be a well-oiled machine. Yeah, I think so. And looking at it, I think there's a couple. I like the quotes, so I want to read the quote that we had for that first week, and then the theme. So, everyone wants to be great until it's time to do what greatness requires. I think that's a great quote to kind of live by. You got to put in the work. That kind of falls in with a theme that says fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that as we grow with this leadership group, that will trickle over too. So. I think next time we meet, I think we've probably talked about week 2, see how that went, and give an overview of it. We might have a guest. We'll see what happens. So if anybody wants to hang out with us, right? I know, right? So I think we might. We'll have to get it if it'll get arranged. So I've got an idea. But all right, anything else you want to say before we wrap up? No, this was awesome. I like this is my new hobby, so I'm excited about this. Like you said, your husband said find a hobby. I know, and it's podcasting and track now. I like it. All right, well, we'll send them away here.